Hi and welcome to this installment of the ABG Sundal Collier Investor Days. Today we have 34 companies presenting, running on two parallel tracks, starting now at 8:30 until 17:30. We will have a small lunch break at 12, and the presentations will be able live, and you will also be able to watch afterwards online. My name is Jacob Lemke. I'm an equity research analyst here at ABG, covering the healthcare space. I have the pleasure to welcome our first presenting company, Boule Diagnostics, and their CEO, Jesper Söderqvist. And with that, I leave it over to you, Jesper.
Good morning, and thank you very much, Jacob. Very happy to be here and open up these investor days. I hope you had a good start of the day. I had a wonderful morning driving out to a conference resort outside Stockholm, where for the first time we'll gather the group management of Boule Diagnostics together physically. So that's a good sign, I think, of that we see a relief in the restrictions and life coming back after the pandemic. So if you switch slide. So let's start with an overview of Boule. So Boule is a global niche player which provide near-patient blood diagnostics worldwide. Our roots go back to the first innovation of the automatic cell counter here in Sweden in the 50s. So we have built a large and important and knowledge in hematology and application, and also how the market works. We saw both the human and veterinary market with instruments and consumables. Our large installed base drive our recurring revenue. And we also have white label sales to other hematology providers that also use our consumables for their installed base. We use a multi-brand product strategy, which means that we have, using the same technology, same products, have several sales channels in many important markets. We're present in more than 100 countries through a large and loyal distributor network that we have built over many years. So if you flip side, so let's look at the market where that we address. So if you look at the market for near-patient blood diagnostics, it's about $650 million, and it grows around 5% per year. The main growth factor for this market is an aging population, which consumes more and more healthcare, and also increased standard of living and increased economy in many emerging markets. This means that there's a structural demand-driven growth for this market for many years to come. And then, of course, in addition to that, there's a lot of innovation and new technologies that is making this market grow. And there's a lot to do for many years to come. We also serve the veterinary market, which is about 10% of our business. That market is about the same size as the hematology market, if you include also clinical chemistry, because we have both an hematology instrument and a clinical chemistry instrument. That market growth faster, about 8 to 10% per year. And it's driven a lot that there is more and more people acquiring companion animals, and that has been even more pronounced now during the pandemic. So these are the markets, and as you can see, there is many opportunities to continue to grow. So the question then is, what makes Boule unique, and how can we use these market opportunities, drive our growth, and also drive profitability? So there's a few things which makes Boule unique. So if you flip slide. We address the near-patient market, and that we think is going to be even more pronounced in the future. We have a very strong brand, thanks to our long history and our user-friendly, reliable systems. And we have effective, flexible operations since we use distributors for marketing, sales, and service. And thanks to our business model, we have a high proportion of recurring revenue from our consumable sales. So about 60% of the revenue in a normal year is recurring consumable sales and service to our installed base. So let's go through these 4 unique things. So if you flip slide. So the type of blood test that we do, complete blood count, is a very common test and is used in a lot of in healthcare in various settings. There are many players in this market. We have chosen to go for the niche which is outside the big laboratories and outside, big central hospitals, and we focus on the near patient market, testing market, which is smaller laboratories, smaller hospitals, physician office labs, etc. In this way, we have a niche where we can really stick out. And really, if you look at how this testing is done, so near patient testing is really vital in many, particularly emerging economies, where a lot of the healthcare is carried out in smaller, remote areas. In order to serve this market, we have very technically advanced products, but I think the important thing here is that they are reliable. If you look at this market, we see that there is increased digitization, and we also see there's a technology shift where there are more and more instruments with more parameters. And I'll come back to that when we talk about our future product platform. So let's first have a look at how our equipment is used. So if you flip side. So the type of test that we provide today is called complete blood count. It's one of the more common diagnostic tests in the clinical laboratory. So what you do is that we take a blood sample. It could be a venous, or it could also be a finger stick. So with a few drop of blood, you can feed that the whole blood into our instruments, and then in 1 minute you get an analysis of the different blood cells. So we look at the red blood cells, we look at the white blood cell, and the platelet contribution. And in this way, in less than 1 minute, there are many different diagnoses that you can make. For example, looking at anemia, look at the red blood cell contribution, look at various types of infections, looking at the white blood cell distribution, or look at coagulation disorders. The result is given either on the instrument, it could be printed, or it could be fed into a laboratory information system. The whole idea is that within minutes, the test results are available for the physician, and they can consult the patients without the need for additional visits. It's a very cost-effective test, so we can really make a big difference for many patients around the world. So if you flip slide. So we talked about what makes Boule unique, and the brand we have is really about high quality reliability. And what is unique for Boule is that we have the complete value chain, meaning that we develop both instruments and the consumables, and we produce all of it in-house. We have our own design, we have our own production, and one of the things that is since we control the complete systems, we have also really have a good understanding what makes a reliable system. And in this way, we have built a reputation as a high quality provider, which means that we can also sell with a premium and still achieve a low life cycle cost. That is thanks to our unique expertise in applications, in R&D, and also manufacturing, and more importantly, of course, also regulatory. And I think that's also demonstrated. So about 10% of our revenue are white label sales of consumables to other hematology providers. And I think that's a testimonial of our and recognition of our capabilities. So if you flip side. So as I said, we are it's a fairly small company, but we are present in more than 100 countries, but headquartered here in Sweden, where R&D facilities are in Sweden for instruments, in the US for consumables. And then we have production in Sweden and the US, and also from this month also in Russia actually. We have a well-established distribution network in more than 100 countries. We have 200 loyal distributors. And the way we've chosen to manage and make sure this distributor network, and also really make sure that we understand the local market need, is that we have local sales offices around the globe. In this way, we can work closely to our distributors, really understand their needs, be there together with them to meet users and patients, understand the local business culture and reimbursement systems, and all those local things. So thanks to this setup, even though that we work through distributors, I would say that we have a unique insight how the markets operates. And of course, one of our growth strategies is to grow our geographic presence. And just now in September, we opened up 2 new sales offices. We have a salesperson now based in Nairobi in Kenya that is serving sub-Saharan Africa. And we also have a sales manager in Dubai serving the Middle East. So thanks to this setup, the cost to grow our revenue is limited, and it's mainly related to scaling up production and R&D. So let's see where we will focus to grow the business. If you can swip slide. We have a large install base, and the key, of course, is to continue to grow this installed base, because it's the installed base that generates the consumable sales, and generate recurring revenue. Today, about 130 million tests are done on our solutions every year. And if you look in total, about 60% of our sales are recurring revenue. So in order to continue to grow the install base, of course, one thing we do is to introduce new products into our product portfolio. And we have a very exciting new development now with our new product platform where we will bring out new products to the market. And the other thing is, of course, to continue to grow our geographic presence. And we are particularly active in the emerging markets. And as I said, we've just taken action now to extend our presence in the Middle East and Africa, 2 important markets where we think that there will be a significant growth over the next decade or so. And that's where markets that will grow faster than the overall market. And then we talked about that we also serve the veterinary market, which is currently about 10% of our business. And clearly that is a business that piggyback on what we're doing in the human market. And there we have a lot of opportunities where we can grow also. So just a little bit about Boule. So if you take the next slide. So let's look at have a market outlook and see a little bit how we think the market will develop mid short term. And I also want to give you an update on a little bit where we are now in our financials and our operations in 2021. So if you take the next slide. So as you know, in 2020, when the pandemic hit, we saw a downturn in consumable sales in particular. And we also saw a rapid drop in instruments in the second quarter. What we have seen now during 2021 is that we see a gradual recovery, and we see, positive momentum in most markets. And if you look at our second quarter this year, we're up 34% versus last year in constant currency, and we're 9% above sales in the first quarter of this year. So we see that there is a positive momentum. However, we see that the high share of instrument sales, which means that our gross margins are pressured. And then, of course, we have seen also, if we lost revenue in 2020, what we have seen now is that when the demand now increase, we experience the same type of problem in our supply chain as many other companies. So we have to take a lot of additional efforts to ensure that we can deliver and get the components, etc. So currently, the demand exceeds supply, and we have additional costs which pressure our gross margin temporarily. If you look on our cash flow, I think it's okay. But of course, we are doing a big investment, and we've spent about 13 million in the second quarter on our new platform. So, and then in parallel now, we work a lot with increasing our digital marketing and enhance our, kind of online support to our distributors. Overall, I would say, the second quarter was very positive in that we made a lot of progress, and that we also see that the market is recovering. If you take slide, so flip slide. So here in this graph, you can see, the blue bars are our instrument sales, and you can see here that there was a rapid drop in the beginning of 2020 due to the pandemic. We also saw a rapid drop in consumable sales, and that is related to that when the market closed down, many smaller physician office lab, etc., closed down. So these our instruments are used, both to diagnose and monitor diseases, but also a very common usage is to use it in health checkups, and that really stopped last year. So the good thing is that, through last year and this year, we have seen a growth of instrument sales quarter by quarter, which I think is a positive sign that people see that the market is coming back. And also now in the second quarter, we saw, if you look at rolling 12 months, which is the red curve for consumable sales, you can see that it's, we start to see a recovery. So, it's been a tough year. We see some of the light in the tunnel. Even if we, didn't grow our installed base last year, I think the sales that we generated actually maintained our installed base flat. So once the markets open up, we expect that we see a fairly rapid recovery of consumable sales. But that is, of course, related to how things are going with the restrictions, etc. So if you go to the next slide. So we talked about, the importance of expanding our product portfolio. And one of the things we're doing now is to invest in a new product platform. This is the biggest development project and biggest investment done in Boule's history. We're building a new platform that's going to be built on our own proprietary technology. And the first release on this platform will be an advanced 5-part instrument. And 5-part means that we will measure more parameters in the white blood cell contribution. With that 5-part instrument, we will have a full product portfolio to serve the 5-part market. It's an attractive market in the sense that it grows faster than the overall market in hematology. It is also a market that, generate higher prices on the instruments and hence also more profitability per instrument for us. So we expect that with this 5-part instrument, we will see a significant growth after that is introduced and we will then address a market which grows more in line with 8% year on year. And this is, just the first release. Over time, we will add additional releases on this platform. So that's very exciting development, and we passed some, significant milestones also mid this year. So if you flip slide. So what are we focusing on right now? Needless to say that, we are very happy to see that some markets are recovering. But we do see that we have issues with logistics and component shortages, which means a lot of additional work and also, additional costs. So manage the supply chain situation, I think it's a top priority here and now. I'm very pleased that we have now run the first production batches in our new Russia manufacturing site. And we expect the first customer deliveries to happen here within a few weeks. A key thing for us to work on is to make sure that we get this new product first, product out end of next year. And then, of course, we are working hard to strengthen our marketing team and change the way we work. And that is, both to support our current business, but also to prepare for the product launch that we will do in end of 2022. We are also in a highly regulated market. And one of the things that's happening now to suppliers in IVD is the new European regulatory framework that is coming to effect in May of next year. That's a big undertaking, and that's we're working on that. And we passed the first milestones in that project here in the second quarter. So I'm very pleased with that. But clearly, that's something that we will need to work a lot on the next 6 months or so. And then, as we announced this spring, we signed up some new distributors, in particular in the Middle East and Africa, and we now added our own staff in those regions. And I'm really looking forward to see, what type of business they can generate, and also see that we build a strong footprint in those two important emerging markets. So a lot to do, and I'm very positive about the outlook, even though there are uncertainties related to the pandemic. But I'm very confident that over time we will, meet our operating margin targets, with an EBIT of 15%. And I'm sure that we can also beat our long-term sales growth, which should be more than 10% per year. So with that, I would like to thank for the attention and open up for questions.
Thank you for the presentation, Jesper. I'll start with a question on sort of the development recently. I think you were sort of upbeat over the past quarters about the demand side, but like you said, logistics and supply chain issues have sort of hindered your ability to deliver instruments. How has this developed during the summer and going into the third quarter now? Is your ability to deliver improving?
I think, if you look at disturbances, I thought the inflow of disturbances was higher in the spring. So I think, we have managed to overcome the shortages that we've seen. So it's developing in the right direction. But I think we have to, we discover new things every day. And in particular, the logistics situation is really a challenge. That's both for incoming material, but also for customer shipments. So there are some uncertainties, still. And we had a very good order book entering the third quarter, and I think we will not be able to deliver everything that we could have in the third quarter. But overall, I think it's moving in the right direction. But clearly, I think we will see challenges over the next 6 to 9 months. So I think we need to continue to monitor the situation and take some exceptional measures to manage this.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that was all the time we had today. Thank you very much, Jesper.
Thank you for listening, and have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.